What's up, everybody? I've been recently asked the question several times, what is yoga? Or what does the word mean? What does yoga mean? And there's a common modern translation, I guess you would call it, that comes from the root of the word yoga, which is yak, which is a Sanskrit word that has been translated as yoke, as in like to yolk an egg, to bring together, which is a useful analogy. But in actuality, the origin of the word yak is more likened to, in English, what we would call rig, as into rig, as into rig the horses to a chariot. In early Sanskrit writings, yak was used as a term to describe what happens to the spirit when you die. And so it's a deeper conversation, it's a deeper explanation, but in short, the origins of yoga have a lot to do with sorcery and kind of black magic. And so early on in yoga practices, mostly there was a lot of rituals, which is just like a reproducible sequence of actions, you could say. You do this with this kind of scent available, you say these words, and you sit in this position, and you do it over and over in the same pattern of actions, and that's a ritual. And what was happening at the time was the practitioners of this kind of art and science were noticing that upon death, and this gets kind of esoteric, but you have a similar occurrence in modern times when somebody like dies in the hospital room, but then they come back like they were dead, but they came back and they leave their body. So there are experiences where people have died, but then they come back. And they would notice, these early practitioners, that it appeared that their essence, whatever it is that's them, that's not their body, would be transported on a kind of beam of light, you could call it, into what was called Brahmaloka, which is like more or less a heaven. And so that's where the word yak came in. Yak was describing the spirit being carried by a beam of light to the thereafter. And so more in modern times, what would happen is you had less practitioners of these ancient rituals, and you started having more modern practices of bending and breathing. And there was still a kind of unification of the mind with the essence. You would also have what would be called sinister yogi. So what happened after the early stages of this yoga practice is you'd have middle ages, you'd call it, where there was a lot of like witchcraft, which had its counterpart in India, which was like sorcery and black magic. So a lot of possessions, calling of spirits and things. You don't have to actually believe in these sort of things. You either do or you don't, or maybe you're on the cusp about it. But that's where the word yak comes from, was the unification of your consciousness with your essence as it's transported somewhere. Either you die, or it's transported to another person, or it's transported to another object, or in the most modern incarnation, it's just unified, and then it's expanded to be able to be observant of what's going on around you, the universe, other phenomena, people, your own memories, and so on. So yoga, it means to bring together, to join together, to press together. And in the origin of the word, it meant to bring together the horses with the chariot to carry you to heaven. So that's yak. Y-U-K is the origin of the word yoga, Y-O-G-A. And that's a little piece of knowledge for you right now. Definitely do join my Facebook group, The Silent Flute. I got my anchoring wrong, The Silent Flute, because it gets reversed on the video. The Silent Flute will be weekly lectures while I'm in India, as well as daily short videos, 3 to 5 minutes of an actual technique, some way to unify your mind with your essence, if only for a minute, if only temporarily, and through practice it becomes a much more sustained experience. That's all for now. Namaste. Ninth Love.